Hello students. In today's class, we are going to talk about the solutions of a very recent past year paper, that means NTA UGC-NET Examination, December 2019. In fact, for the better understanding of our solutions of this question paper, we have divided every unit according to this question paper. In this class, we are going to talk about Unit 3, Fiction and Short Story. The very first thing is about the important things for this Unit 3. The number of questions from this unit were 13. The difficulty level that was asked for these questions was moderate to difficult, and the type of questions were fluctuating from chronological based to identification based. Now, I expect everyone to note it down first, and then we are going to talk about the solutions of fiction and short story, that means Unit 3. Let us begin with the very first question of Unit 3, Fiction and Short Story. The first question asked in our examination was, which two of the following correctly describe the features of Wuthering Heights? The four options given were flashbacks and time shifts, Oedipal obsessions, magic and ritual, and acute evocation of place. If we talk about the options given for this question were A and C, B and D, A and D, and the final one was C and D. Let's talk about the solution. In the solution, the third option is the correct one. And the reasons for that? In fact, it is a novel that was written in the Victorian age by the author Emily Bronte. The novel was published under the pseudonym, that means a false name that is generally used by the writers. The name was Alice Bell, and the novel published in 1847. The plot of the novel is based on two locations. The two locations were Wuthering Heights and Thrush Cross Grange. If we talk about this novel, there were two narrators in this novel, and those two narrators were Lockwood and Nellie Dean. They are the prime narrators. Let's talk about the second question that's written on the board here. The second one is, which one of the following has two heroes with the same name? The options given for the question: Island of Mighty, the German Goddess, Animal Farm, George Well, and Armadale. If we talk about the solution, the fourth one is the correct answer. For the reason, the novel Armadale was written by Charles Wilkins, and the novel published in 1846 to 1866 through some of the series of the chapters. In fact, Charles Wilkins had written 4 great novels. Among those 4 great novels, this was the third one. The other 3 were The Woman in White, No Name, and the last one was The Moonstone. You should remember, Charles Wilkins was notable for introducing the detective novels in the firmament of English literature. Let's talk about the detailed and explained solution of Unit 3 and the next question in that. The third question in the question paper was, which of the following set of characters of Charles Dickens novels is in right chronological order? Many of the questions were asked on the basis of chronological order. The first option in this are Mr. Bounderby, David Copperfield, Mrs. Munn, and Nathaniel Winkle. The second one, David Copperfield, Mr. Bounderby, Nathaniel Winkle, and Mrs. Munn. The third option, Nathaniel Winkle, Mrs. Munn, David Copperfield, and Mr. Bounderby. The fourth option is Mrs. Munn, David Copperfield, Nathaniel Winkle, and Mr. Bounderby. In fact, these characters have been asked according to the publication of the novels, and the correct answer is the third one. The reason for that, Nathaniel Winkle is a character in the Pickwick Papers of Charles Dickens. The novel was published in 1836. The second one, Mrs. Munn, is a character in Oliver Twist. The novel was published in 1837. David Copperfield, just the character by the same name in the novel, David Copperfield. The novel published in 1849. So here, 1849. And the last one, Mrs. Josiah Bounderby from Hard Times. This novel published in 1854. Let's talk about the fourth question. The fourth question is, Which two names from R.M. Ballantyne's Coral Island are repeated in William Golding's reworking of the same text as Lord of the Flies? The four options are given according to the characters provided here. The first Ralph, Roger, Jack, and Simon. The options are given here: A and D, A and C, C and D, and B and D. We'll have to decide which two characters were also given in Lord of the Flies. The answer is the second one, A and C. That means we are talking about Ralph and Jack. The Coral Island is a novel, also subtitled as A Tale of Pacific Ocean, by Scottish author R.M. Ballantyne. He is an Scottish author, writer. The novel was published in 1857. There are two characters that have also been seen in just the novel of William Golding, Lord of the Flies. The two characters are Ralph and Jack. William Golding was the novelist who was awarded Nobel Prize in Literature for his novels in 1983. So, you will have to note it down, and then we are going to do other questions as well. Let's note it down. So, in our detailed solution of Unit 3 questions, let's talk about the question number 5. Question number 5 is chiefly based upon match the column based question. Here, we have been given 4 authors, and along with that, their short stories that are to be matched according to the quotes given here, like Edgar Allan Poe, E.M. Foster, Catherine Mansfield, and the fourth one is Salman Rushdie. The 4 stories given here are The Fall of the House of Usher, The Prophets Here, The Garden Party, and the fourth one is The Celestial Omnibus. In the quotes, the third answer is the correct one, for the reason because these stories have been given here in the accordance of their writers. The Fall of the House of Usher is the story written by Edgar Allan Poe, the American novelist and short story writer, Edgar Allan Poe. The second, The Celestial Omnibus, is another story by E.M. Foster. The third story, The Garden Party, is by Catherine Mansfield. And the fourth story is The Prophets Here, written by, it's again The Prophets Here. The story was written by Salman Rushdie. Let us talk about the next question. It is question number 6. In question number 6, we find which two of the following novels deal with the theme of apartheid. The 4 option: Purple Hibiscus, Julius People, Cry Beloved Country, The Mimic Man. If you know about the apartheid system, it was just a brutal and unjust system conducted by the European government in Africa. The options given here are A and C, B and D, B and C, and A and D. If you talk about the correct answer, it's a B and C. Okay, come on, B and C. B is Julius People and C, Cry Beloved Country. These two novels are related to the unjust cruelties of European government in South Africa that was chiefly known as apartheid system. Julius People was a novel published in 1981 by the South African writer Nadine Gordimer. The second novel, Cry the Beloved Country, was published in 1948 and it was written by South African writer again, Alan Paton. You should never forget that both the writers are South African because we are talking about the apartheid system that was quite unique to and unjust to South Africa. So, if we talk about these questions, we find some sort of similarities and differences as well. In the similarities, we find that some of the questions were asked according to the characters and based upon the plot. The other questions were also asked based upon the stories and also the resemblance to the content given in the stories. This was the unique way of asking questions in NET English.